Impact. Trying to enjoy my family, enjoy just my life, but trying to do things that can disrupt things that have been done the way they've always been done and have an impact where I can.
What do you think is your biggest success to date?
My biggest success to date is probably my kids. They're everything to me. Outside of family, probably cost plus drugs. Even though we've just been at it and started shipping January of 2022, the impact is beyond anything Alex and I ever envisioned. And so to be at this point where now literally people are coming up to me in the street and hugging me and saying, you just cut my cost of medication from $1,500 a month to $17, and things like that. That's just insane, and that makes me feel great. Where I make my next dollar, it's not going to change my life. Where I get my next smile, where I get my next hug, that's life changing. Go in short supply, and when that happens, either somebody jacks up the price or that just is not available or very difficult to get. And so as we were going back and forth via email, I started asking questions, well, why stop here? And that was when Martin Shkreli was doing his thing and he was going to jail. And I was like, well, if this idiot can jack up prices 1,500% or whatever it was for Daraprim, that means there's fungibility in the pricing. There must be an opportunity to reduce the cost as well. Can we look at that? And so that's where we started the process of working together to say, okay, what are all the regulatory issues? What are all the pharmacy issues? All the things all the I's you have to, the dot and T's you have to cross just to be in this business. And that took about 3 years. And we finally got to the point where it was, okay, let's start working with a drug called albendazole, where we had somebody manufacture it for us. And what albendazole is a drug for hookworm, for parasitics. And it's still a problem in rural areas of Alabama and Texas, South Carolina, and other places across the country. And it costs $200 per course. And I was like, well, if we manufacture it or have somebody manufacture it for us, and in January of 2022, this year, we launched our website and started shipping about 110 drugs. And from there, we've grown to probably 900, by the time people see this, 950 of the top 1,000 generic drugs that are available that we're offering in cost plus drugs.
Mm-hmm. And you have about 1 million people on board already.
Yeah, so we're adding anywhere on a weekend. Well, now it's changing by the day, but let's just say 5,000 to 10,000 people per day. And that number is going up like this. All our numbers are going up like this, like a hockey stick. It's incredible. Looking to buy, you'll see exactly what we pay for it. You'll see that it's marked up 15%. We'll show you what the markup is. You'll see that there's a $3 handling fee for the pharmacy and $5 shipping. And that's it. And so which is great for patients, but a secondary effect has been that everybody in the industry can now see what we pay for a drug. And we may pay a little bit more than some other folks just because we may not be as big yet as they are, but everybody and anybody can see our costs. And so now you're starting to see studies come out comparing, what it would be, how much money Medicare would save if they bought from cost plus drugs, working backwards for different studies to see what this generic or that generic actually costs. And so not only have we had an impact on patients' lives, but we've had an impact on the industry. And I think it changes depending on what your positions are, what your ideology is. For me, capitalism means just being able to start a company or run a company and accomplish the goals that are important to me. It's not just about making as much money as you possibly can make. And I think Gen Z today is changing that definition to be more widely accepted. If you go back to the baby boomers, it's cash, 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 the yuppies, right? How much money can we possibly make? But just like on Shark Tank, Gen Zers and younger millennials that are coming on to pitch us businesses always have a social construct. There's always a social mission. And for Gen Z today making purchases, because everybody's a brand now, because you're on Instagram, you're on Snapchat, you're on Be Real, you're on wherever, what you wear is who you are to all your friends. what you're around and what people see you with is who you are to all your friends. And everybody, wants to be perceived as in a positive light. And so capitalists of Gen Z and younger millennials are people who really find it important to have a social impact. And so whereas my generation might have looked at capitalism and said, greed is good. If you think back to 1995 and you wanted to stream just audio, you had to have a subscription with an internet service provider. Then to make that work, you had to download a client which had a TCP/IP client. Then you had to download a streaming audio client, and you had to have the right kind of modem. There were all these pieces that had to fit together. It was complicated. And so the uptake was big for sports fans and, big news junkies. And everybody else were like, dude, you're an idiot. I'll just turn on my TV. I'll just turn on the radio. What the hell do I have to go through all that hassle to just listen to a sporting event? And we reached that initial stage, and then all of a sudden it got a little bit boring, right? Because you had to wait for the new applications to come along. We had to wait for live to come along. We had to wait for video to come along. We started, streaming audio in 1995. When we did video, it was 1998, and even then it was only postage stamp size. And it was only, in 2012, let's say 2013, 14, almost 20 years later, where people looked at streaming like, okay, NFTs for the resale of books. So we take NFTs past the collectible markets to the utility markets. NFTs for refi, which is for carbon offsets, buying and selling and trading carbon offsets, and even burning them so that they're not resold all the time, but they have a direct impact on the environment. And there'll be more and more and more of those applications that are more mainstream, but they're not all the way here. They're not truly mainstream yet. And so we're going through that lull. And you saw the same thing with the internet too, right? Until mobile phones came along, from 1995 to 2007 with the iPhone, meh, right? I mean, you had Amazon, you could go shopping and you could stream, but it wasn't like it was just earth-shattering. But once we got it on mobile, then we got the App Store in 2009? And then even remember the first apps on the App Store were like, here, look, let me hold my phone like this and it looks like I'm drinking a beer. Game. Right? Yeah, it looks like I'm drinking a beer. Just dumb shit. There's no reason why crypto's gonna be any different. But the good news is, the investments I'm looking to make are geared towards applications that'll be mainstream and not about, okay, let's create an Instagram for crypto. Let's create a Twitter. Not Me Too type applications. More like, okay, things that take advantage of smart contracts and distributed environments. The author and the publisher and whoever else is involved can get a set royalty fee. So that means that the publishers and people who created the book can keep on getting paid, whereas when there's a physical book that gets sold and resold, they have to hope that book falls apart, and so that they can sell a new one. And so I think that's a great application. As I talk about environmental impact with trading of carbon offsets, I think insurance, being able to very easily buy insurance. But I think in terms of the home run type applications and more complicated, longer to develop type things, I think things like health insurance, right? The whole process of getting a claim pre-approved or approved after the fact is horrible. Nobody likes dealing with their insurance company, their health insurance company. First of all, for pre-approvals, you never know whether or not you'll get pre-approved or not. And when you go, it's not like the UK where you just go to the NHS and you just hope they have it, not if you'll get approved.